And this is what you can achieve if done right, in combination of putting into place your data foundations with static data, so being able to map most of your market when it comes to specific target segments, and then constantly monitoring any signals around that market or that segment that you're tracking or that you want to outreach. Here, we have the possibility with an example of a client that has deal sizes of a bit more than 50K, that in 12 months, you can achieve such really nice results. And this is all by the effort of putting into place a mix of static and dynamic data. Okay, so let's go. Welcome, everyone. Great to see you all here into this exceptional webinar we've prepared for you. Today, it's going to be about a very specific topic that should concern all of you in a particular manner, because it's all about leveraging AI in this new world of B2B practice, in the world with lead generation, outbound, and more, and sales, of course. And we are going to walk you through the latest trends when it comes to AI, and then, of course, show you a very particular use case about how you can implement and leverage AI, or just new generation tools when it comes to sales and pre-sales, so that you can systemize this for having better qualified meetings, clients in the future. So today, it's just going to be about Stuart and myself. We're going to present ourselves in a couple of minutes. I would say let's dive in. So first of all, of course, here presenting the host, here I'm Lucas as being RevUp's lead and partner at Peakora. Very happy to see all of you here. When it comes to my experience, well, I've been a lot into revenue operations, both on scaling lead generation systems for companies where there are startups, scale-ups, and bigger tech SMEs overall, and then also have set up dozens of CRMs for some clients where it comes to making sure they have a great system into place to run their revenue operations over time. And then I've generated more than 15 million in terms of pipeline value, or just in relation to lead generation systems that has been put into place. I'll pass over the ball to Stuart.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucas. Thanks for your intro. Happy to do this webinar together with you today. My name is Stuart. I'm an account executive at Dealfront. I've been with the company for over 3.5 years, originally from the Leadfeeder side, before Leadfeeder basically merged with Ecobot, and we launched the go-to-market platform Dealfront together. Throughout the 3.5 years, I have helped hundreds of sales and marketing teams streamlining their workflow, finding high intent leads and getting them basically converted into actual deals, by mostly also optimizing this with the current setup they have with other solutions, and most predominantly, of course, CRM systems, which typically are the backbone of every organization.
Lovely. Thank you so much. We'll hear you in a moment when it comes to explaining a bit more with Dealfront and a particular tool that is managed by Dealfront. So we wanted to start this webinar by having this statement, which is that still nowadays, and we know this by also putting into place some system from clients, that a lot of people still spend a lot of manual time when it comes to sales activities and even marketing. So here, this concrete example that a typical company, either a minimum established company or tech SME, well, with 3 salesperson will spend 50K per year on manual lead research. And this sort of thing can actually now be given back to you as a salesperson by leveraging these new generation tools that we mentioned to you at the very beginning, and then especially by leveraging AI. And this is because, well, it's not just about that, which is important. It's also about making sure that there are other ways where you can really optimize and save some time now, not just about doing manual lead research, but some other things, and we'll explain this throughout the webinar. But to start with, this is how SDRs can work and be automated with AI. We, as you can see, and maybe you're using it already, of course, all these tools, such as ones provided by OpenAI. There's the recent Operator, if you have access to it, where you can even ask OpenAI to make some tasks for you. And sometimes you don't even need to do some account or lead research anymore per se. Or it could be that there are some other tasks that will really help you save some time, such as preparing some briefings automatically before you have your first discovery calls. There are many things nowadays where a lot of, when it comes to sales, revenue operations in general is being disrupted, and we're really experiencing a very exciting times where others to understand what is the best way that we can implement this in a day-to-day basis. And so here, when it comes to these new gen tools, like I mentioned, I was already saying that it could help you save some time with having AI in particular, but there's some other things. Here, we'll talk about also automation when it comes to, instead of manually sending up a whole outreach campaign, when it comes to cold emailing, when it comes to even now, or even soon enough, cold calling, you can automate all of this to some extent. And at the same time, you would have increased performance, because by not spending that much time of manual work on some very simple things, but also automating some other ones, then you have the possibility of refocusing on building relationships with your leads from the moment it is a completely new lead to up to this person would convert into a client. And how does it work more concretely speaking? Here, it is all about building an effective revenue operations system. And so, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's a combination of different things. But the two pillars, so to speak, that you need to master and implement inside your company are first, being able to leverage database providers. And this is, well, thanks to top-notch third-party people or companies that can provide you some very top-notch and relevant data that you can use, that is going to help you further prepare any type of outreach, or to even help you further segment inside your CRM, because you can rely on some information such as the tech stack that the company has, what would be the funding stage of specific startups you want to reach out to, as a particular example, being able, of course, to get any email, phone number, or other personal information that you use for your outreach. So all of this is one of these two pillars, which is so-called like standard data. And then you have on the other side then some sort of revolutionization when it comes to AI platforms, and all that comes with OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepSeek. You've all heard about them, and this is because you can, thanks to them, compute unique data points and generate something which database providers can't provide to you. Some examples would be that you can do some lead scoring, because based on data that has been given from database providers such as Dealfront, SEMrush, you can then ask AI, analyze the revenues, the employee counts, the company description of specific companies, and tell me if this company is a fit to my ideal customer profile. So this is something that now adds this extra layer that can even, like I mentioned before, save you some time as an SDR. You don't need to spend that much time reviewing manually all these long lists of potential leads. You have, of course, categorization as another form of how AI can really help you. So based on the company description, is this company more B2B, B2C? What sort of categories in terms of being a tech or a hardware company and whatnot? This can also help you out with further segmentation. It can help you fetch any other type of public information, such as if a company is what is the latest news about the companies, how you can use the latest case study that you can reference to when doing the outreach, and then other types of content generation, such as even creating totally new emails that you can use, personalized email in a cold emailing campaign. So as you can see, data is really the foundation of your sales efforts. This is one of the key points that we want you to take as part of this webinar, because thanks to that, it will really help you out further systemize things, further rely on some information that you would have enriched in the first place in order to build better relationships over time with your leads. And today we're going to present a combination of two tools. With Stuart and myself, we have Dealfront and Leadfeeder, which is a very reliable database platform, but also Leadfeeder, which is about identifying website visitors. And then we have Clay, which is another type of platform that can further enrich some data for you, including the fact of leveraging AI to categorize, to fetch some information, etc. Now, speaking of which, I want to also explain the type of data that you can leverage over time as part of your data foundation for your revenue operations, your sales, your marketing. And these are static and dynamic. So static is something that is really very simply given data that has been fetched over time and that is really characteristic as an attribute either for a contact or company. So for example, company industry is a static data. And then you would have dynamic data, which is the most interesting part. And we're going to, of course, show a concrete use case where it's about understanding some sort of a new data that you can use as signals that can really help you out when it comes to either doing a certain specific type of outreach, such as when a person changed job, then you can start reaching out because it would be already a past customer of yours or something like this, or some other types of data that could help you out with building even more the relationship if a company is already in your sales pipeline. In terms of leveraging static data, what is really good is that it could really put the foundations when it comes to either building your CRM, because let's say that you want to target a completely new segment in the market, you can definitely leverage platforms such as Dealfront to assess what is your total addressable market. So by putting these specific filters, as you can see, you'll be able to see at a glance, okay, so now I know that for this specific new segment, there's about 100,000 accounts. For this other segments, potentially that we would want to target, there's like 20,000 accounts. Maybe it's more interesting to go for the bigger one because there's like more potential. Here, of course, in relation to this, what would be the next step is that you can then build and create a completely new list of accounts and leads with some specific and static data attributes such as industry, employee headcount, etc. And then, of course, these data can be very useful when it comes to further enriching your CRM in order, again, for doing some segmentation or being able to use really your CRM as your single source of truth. Now, when it comes to the dynamic data, there's like some types of categories of dynamic data that you can leverage over time. And this can be implemented through some new generation tools that we mentioned that would propose in installing or tracking such type of data. So we have anything that is in relation to company related. So for example, when a company just hired a new head of the marketing department, when it's lead related, so I already mentioned it, when a lead changed job and started working at the new company, that could be a good signal to react on. We have product related, if a lead logged into your software several times in a row. Public signals, so for example, bad reviews left on a company, that could definitely be a good reason for you to reach out to this company because they had bad reviews on G2 or Captura, and you would say, okay, if you want to fix this kind of bad commentaries, then we can help you out with our software. First-party signal, so when somebody visited your website, so this is like a very useful type of signal. And then second-party signal, where you're using other platforms to monitor any type of interest, such as when some people commented on your latest LinkedIn post. And for today, we are going to have a closer look at first-party signal, which is something that you can have somewhat a control over as you want to reach back to all the people that visited your website. Because, as these inbound leads, they will be considered more warmer leads, and you can definitely leverage this over time in order to increase your top of funnel or your sales pipeline. And this is what you can achieve if done right, in combination of putting into place your data foundations with static data, so being able to map most of your market when it comes to specific target segments, and then constantly monitoring any signals around that market or that segment that you're tracking or that you want to outreach. Here, we have the possibility with an example of a client that has deal sizes of a bit more than 50K, that in 12 months, you can achieve such really nice results. And this is all by the effort of putting into place a mix of static and dynamic data. Having said all of this, I hand it back to Stuart, who takes back.
Yes, perfect. Thanks, Lucas. And indeed, as you explained, there are, of course, a lot of ways of finding signals, and there are a lot of signals that you can act on. As said, you have static ones, you have dynamic ones. And the one that we will go to in today and more in depth is the first party intent signal. Everybody has access to all of the static ones. Everybody has access to most of the dynamic ones if they have the right data providers. However, first party data is your data. Only you have access to that data. And that is, for example, companies that are visiting your website. Only you know that if you are using the correct tool for that. And that is indeed what is the problem with most companies nowadays. They don't know actually who's visiting their own website. Only 3% of your own website traffic converts, meaning that you have a huge gap and a lot of untapped potential on your own website, since 97% of your website traffic is currently not converting. These are companies that are showing interest into you, maybe are looking into multiple competitors at the moment as well, are seeing, okay, who should I actually work with? Where do I want to book a demo? Or who do I need as a provider to solve my problem? However, you don't know that they are looking at you, because they're not booking that demo with you. They're not calling you. They're not filling out the contact form. Without a solution like Leadfeeder, you don't know that they ever showed interest into you. So this is, of course, high value data that you want to act on, and basically acting on the companies that already are showing interest into you. So you can actually identify anonymous websites, anonymous companies on your website. So all on a company level, by the way, as well, not on a personal level, especially within Europe with GDPR regulations. We can identify based on the IP address which companies are currently visiting your website, and you can actually see what they're doing on your website. I see maybe that this picture is a little bit too small, but at the bottom, you would see that, first of all, this specific company from Frankfurt was looking at sales prospecting solutions on our website. Okay, that's already a good intent signal, but it is still quite broad. Later on, we saw that they actually also moved to data care, which is our solution to clean and enrich your current data sets. Okay, so probably they have a problem in regards to that. And we can actually likely confirm that, since the same person got back 2 days later and not only looked at that specific product, but also into GDPR. So, okay, it's a German company. GDPR, we know, is also very important in the DACH region, in all of Europe, but in the DACH region more predominantly, typically. So, okay, this is perfect intel. And these are the companies that we want to reach out to, because now we can draft a personalized message saying, hey, we have customers XYZ using that they have problems with their current data sets. They're outdated. We have a tool, Data Care, that can help you with these solutions. And these customers do it in this way, in a GDPR compliant way. Now we have captured the whole message of their intent in a direct outreach to them. And not only is it personalized to them, it's also especially on the right moment. When they are engaging with you, when they're looking into you, that is the moment that you want to captivate on that intent signal. So that's when you want to do the outreach to these companies. With Leadfeeder, you can identify that potential. And of course, you can streamline all of this with your CRM system. What that would look like is what I would like to show you now, and how we can actually put it into practice. Let me share my screen. Yes, perfect. I think my screen is the big screen here now, if I'm correct. So what you see in front of you is the Dealfront platform. This is a go-to-market platform, as said, after merging the products of EchoBot and Leadfeeder together in one platform. As Lucas explained, you can create your own ICP list first, ideal customer profile list, based on static information and maybe some other signals via our B2B database on the left. But if you have that, then you want to target, as said, those companies when they are looking into you. That is when Leadfeeder comes into play. Within Leadfeeder, you can then identify the companies that are visiting your website at the moment. You can actually say, okay, who is showing interest into you? And please bear in mind, typically only 3% of everything that you see here would convert by themselves. You can see the untapped potential now of companies that are looking into you but not converting. So we can see that we have identified 11,000 companies in the past 30 days on the website. And then we can also see, of course, what a company is doing on the website. So for example, we can see this Indian company in the information services, 200 to 500 employees. What are they doing on the website? So we saw that on the 10th of March, they were first looking into specific stream episodes. Dealfront has a new streaming platform as well, where we share content also about marketing and sales and RevOps. And we see that especially in the revenue career ladder, that is where they were interested in. We can check, okay, what was actually in those episodes. We see that eventually they looked in defining your ICP. Perfect, more intent, and based on that, we can reach out again. Not only do we know that this person was looking at the website, but probably a colleague is also looking into it. So it could be that they have forwarded the information to a colleague. This is the next intent that you know. Multiple people are already looking into you. And then that same person, person number one, came back 7 days after the first visit and visited the Dealfront website again. This is already great. And of course, you want to captivate on this, but maybe a information services company is not within your ICP. Maybe in Asia as a whole of a market is not within your ideal customer profile. So you want to further define this, of course. That is what you can actually do by creating custom feeds to captivate the high intent, because of course, that's what we want to focus on today, the high intent B2B leads for you. That's different for everybody. But typically what is low hanging fruit are companies that you have already spoken with, but maybe at that time they didn't have the budget, maybe they went for a competitor, or any other given reason caused a lost deal within your CRM system. Now you see actually that they are revisiting the website. So then this is once again the moment that you want to reach out again. It's not about spray and pray, so to say, but you want to use a sniper and get the right leads out of it. And you want to see which leads are currently interesting for you. So what you can do is you can filter actually on all of your lost deals and see which ones of those are visiting the website. And then we can see from those 11,000 leads, we had a couple of companies that have been lost deals, and those are the low-hanging fruits. We know the contact person, and those are the companies that we want to get in touch with. So for example, if we then go to HubSpot here, we see that there is a lost deal in the CRM system. Next task is a year overdue. Don't focus on that. It is a demo account of ours, luckily. I hope no tasks within our CRM are 1 year overdue. We can see the account owner within our CRM, but then, of course, most predominantly, we can see what were they looking at. Once again, we see they are interested in our target and our Connect product, but then specifically, they were looking into our pricing. This is super interesting. This is once again somebody that is showing a lot of intent on our website. And this is what we want to captivate on, especially since they went to the requested demo page, but didn't book a demo eventually. Otherwise, there would have been an open deal already. There is no open deal, so we know by a matter of fact that they never booked a new demo with us, so they didn't do the last step. This is your chance to step in and activate them yourself and do the last step proactively instead of waiting for them to convert, because once again, only 3% does that. This is the low-hanging fruit part, but of course we are here today also to showcase how you can get new leads, companies that you didn't know yet. So you can also do that by simply filtering on all of the companies that are currently not in your CRM system yet. On top of this, you can use your own list, your own ideal customer profiles list, or you can use any static company information to narrow it down further. If you have all of that ready, the next step, of course, is finding the high intent ones. Which ones are giving you or showing the most interest into you at the moment? So what you can do there is we saw that pricing was interesting to know. We want to know who's visiting the pricing page, or maybe they book a demo page. So if we filter on companies not in a CRM yet, and then pricing and demo, we see that we narrowed down from 11,000 to 1,272 companies in total that have visited those specific pages and are not in the CRM, of course. Maybe this is still too much for your sales team to handle. So if you would like to narrow it down, there are a lot of other ways for example, only companies that have visited at least 3 times. So we know that there has actually been interest a couple of times. They're currently really looking into you. These are the companies that you want to focus on. If we save this feed, we see 455 companies out of the 11,000 in the beginning are interesting. These are high intent leads that you want to focus on. Another example here, for example, is this Dutch company, Tricorp, textile manufacturing company from the Netherlands. We can actually once again see what they're doing. So they're looking into sales and marketing. They're looking into web visitors, into pricing. That is why they ended up in this specific feed as well. And sales prospecting, once again, remains interesting. The 17th of March, which was yesterday, they showed interest again. So this is definitely a company that should be followed up. Of course, there are a lot of other signals that could help here as well. And Lucas will show you in a minute how you can actually enrich this list of 455 companies, this high intent list, later on and enrich it further within the Clay environment. Before we go into that, I would like to ask Lucas if he could share his screen again so we can actually show you what you can do if you implement lead feeder in the correct way. So this is Actito. This is a customer of Dealfront, most predominantly leveraging the lead feeder side of the platform, as we have just shown. Actito came to us with a big problem. They have sales cycles of 12 to 18 months, long sales cycles for a SaaS company. And all of the deals have a minimum contract value of 50,000 euros per year. So large deals, long sales cycles. Who do we reach out to? It's hard to get in contact with these companies. By actually using lead feeder for the 2 SDRs that they have, they were able to eventually attribute 75% of all of their sales to lead feeder by reaching out to the right companies at the right moment with the right message. And now Lucas will show you how you can further enrich all of this within Clay.
Yeah, thank you, Sjoerd. So as you can see, even just by having a tool such as lead feeder, you have the possibility of capturing high intent signals. It's already going to provide you a very large spectrum when it comes to valuable dynamic data. You could already then put into place some filters to already put some focus when it comes to delegating these leads to SDRs. You have, of course, the possibility of further enriching this data by leveraging AI and do even more. So this is something that I would like to show you indeed with a tool which is Clay. Some of you may already know about it, some you don't. But what is Clay as a recall is, imagine like some sort of an Excel sheet where, and then I'm going to show a demo in a second, where when you're going to put some inputs in some other columns, will be able to enrich themselves with whatever type of data that you want. And this is where things can get very interesting also, because as they get access to other data providers to find interesting data points for you, but also the fact of leveraging AI, you can generate then all sorts of new information, whether it is doing some categorization, determining what could be the company's current challenges, because it can fetch online, for example, and then some other things which could be further computed. So here, just to go back into Clay, this is how it would typically look like when you set up a Clay table. Here it's just like to show the very simple way how the tool works. So as you can see, we have like a few columns which are just the inputs that you would put at the beginning, like the company name and the domain name. And then as you would see afterwards, we're going to be putting some examples. The rest will be enriched when it comes to any other type of attributes such as country, employee counts, and more. So let's give it a shot. I'm just going to put some few inputs here. So the moment I have put these two things, these two type of data, the enrichment starts automatically. So here we're basically going to tap into some information from their LinkedIn company page to determine attributes such as industry, employee count, country, etc., even the founding date. Here we're also going to check if the company has specifically some technology, so the tech stack. If I just see here in more detail, you would see with this data provider built with all the type of technology that it could have found by checking behind their own the company's website, what sort of pixels, etc. So from there, we can even identify if the company would have a CRM such as HubSpot, and then some other interesting information, number of active job openings from the company, what is the monthly traffic when it comes to last month regarding the company. And here I'm starting to use AI to generate some further information. So here I actually asked AI to do a better version of the company description. And I asked it, okay, just visit the websites and then make me a simple description of the company. And this is going to be interesting because then you can further use this information to use AI for categorization. We can see this in a few moments, like determining if this company is exclusively B2B, B2C oriented, or both. Here, even I'm using now AI to determine what could be the company's main ICP. So this is also something super useful because maybe you can use this as part of your research as a SDR when it comes to how you can help this company further outreach to these ICPs. And then even more interestingly, I would have here the AI that looks for the right lead if you want. So here we have find the CEO or the founder, and then even finding afterwards the LinkedIn profile and the email of that CEO founder. So all of this is being done instantly by putting some inputs. So very powerful. Even we have here the possibility of creating some AI-generated emails that you can use for your outreach. You can just either copy paste or even just put them in a cold emailing tool such as Lemlist, Instantly, SmartLead, etc. So this is just to explain the foundations of how Clay works. What is going to be even more interesting is this table. So here we have this demo table of taking some information that got captured by Leadfeeder and then pushing it to a Clay table for further enrichment. So in that case, we have here some initial information when it comes to some companies that visited the website, what sort of web pages it visited. So here it could be either the home page, maybe some of them visited some specific pages like this one. And then you can use this further, and then we'll see that in a moment. But then you can then use this initial inputs that has been provided by Leadfeeder, and then check it against. I mean, this is another way of checking it also, because you can do this directly on Leadfeeder like search showed. But here you can indeed even see and fetch back the company on your CRM, see when was the last day that you reached out. If it's something where you know that the company is already in your sales pipeline currently, you don't need to do any special thing. What you can do is just send a Slack message and say to the SDR, okay, this person, this company just visited your website recently. And so this is going to give you a nice notice to further continue building the relationship down the sales funnel. And then furthermore, as you want to go, you can even create some tasks on HubSpot. But if these companies are completely new, then you can also have the possibility of enriching, and then afterwards categorizing to see if this company is a real fit to your ICP, to your ideal customer profile. So here I just got some very basic attributes again, like in the other Clay table. I asked again AI to provide an extended company description and then to categorize based on the type or based on the company description. So here we have now company category, if it's a startup, SMB, or even an enterprise, and then if it's B2B, B2C. So based on that, we put some sort of routing system that says, okay, if all of this apply, the ICP fit would be yes. And then afterwards, we start even asking AI now to reach out to the right lead, which is interesting for you. So here, either to search for a sales leader or a business leader, if you can't find a sales leader. And then at the end, you would have a list of people that you can reach out even manually yourself for any companies which are completely new to you that just visited your website. You would then have also here the possibility to have put a name to it and start reaching out to the head of department, which is the most interesting for you, with all the information that you need, with the LinkedIn profile URL, the work email, and then even afterwards create back the company into your CRM, send a Slack message in case it's a completely new lead also, and then create a task and HubSpot for your SDR to reach out to that potential new prospect. So this is like a whole end-to-end system that you can put into place. Of course, you have the possibility of going further than this, having AI to create a messaging for you, depending on the web page that has been visited. So if the web page is more about the pricing, then you can reach out and handle some blockers already in the first email that you were sent as a cold email. Or it could be some other things depending on the topic of the page that has been visited by the lead. And this is how the whole system would work there to, let's say, move things forward in a more in some other creative ways on how to outreach with some new leads or some existing ones that are returned back on your website. So having said all of this, and between the presentation of Leadfeeder and things that you can do already there, and then of course with Clay, it's all about building the right system that scales. And it doesn't take, like at the beginning, there's quite some foundations to put into place, but it would save you so much more over time. Imagine, I'll refer back to this amount of 50K that could be spent per year on manual lead research. Imagine if all of this can just be answered by this system into place, or you can combine then Dealfront and Clay for the static and the dynamic data. When you have the data enrichment, then to further leverage AI in any particular use cases, and then you would put this into your CRM and start doing some lead engagement for some further new customers at the end. So now that we have sent all of this, some other examples when it comes to dynamic data, because this is actually the most interesting part, right? We showed one of them, which is the first party signal. We have some other examples to quickly explain to you so that it gives you further inspiration in the future and what you can put into place. This is something that Stuart would explain for the two first one.
Yes, thanks, Lucas. So as said, Leadfeeder is one of the products within the broader Dealfront platform. We also offer a B2B database where we can also help you with all publicly available data. That's very important to keep in mind. As long as it's publicly available data and it is from a trade register or the public web, we can help you with finding other intent signals. For example, on the left, you see a row of groups of signals that we can where we can help with. And the example here is within the expansion category, the third one, where you have mergers and acquisitions. If a company is merging, it's of course a good way to do a personalized outreach and congratulating them. Hey, congrats on the merger, congrats on the acquisition. However, it also tells you a lot more, because it will tell you that this company will probably need to integrate multiple systems together, or they would need new systems because they're probably growing. That's why they are doing this merger or acquisition typically. It indicates a lot of things within the organization, and this insights, this intel will actually tell you this so you can act on it in the correct way. And the other one is our job offers. And I think job offers are always quite interesting because it is the place where even confidential companies will still tell a lot about themselves. Typically, they don't share anything about themselves online, but within a job offer, well, all of a sudden they're quite open on, for example, systems that they're using. So by searching for job offers, which we, by the way, do via not only LinkedIn, but also via job boards and via the company's websites themselves, you can first of all see, of course, if a company once again is growing. So if they're actively hiring. In my case, I sometimes look for companies that are hiring SDRs. since I know that they would probably need systems like Dealfront to actually help the SDRs, to help them grow, and also if they just start, to make sure that they're up to speed as soon as possible. But as said, it will tell you a lot more. So it can also tell you about the tech stack. So they will say, hey, we are using any of your competitors, or maybe if they are saying, you need to have experience with Salesforce, or you will be working with Salesforce. All of that is named. And if you have a strong integration with Salesforce, or if anything like that is important to you, you can find that typically within job offers. And all of that is then still publicly available data. On top of that, there are also some specific terms that you can use to narrow down on your ICP. You can get super creative with these. For example, if you have a company that focuses on environmental solutions, you can see which companies mention ESG or SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, within job offers or on the website. Or maybe if you have a company that only works with Java or Python or C++ programs, then you can see which companies mention, for example, Python, as you can see on the example on the left, which only mention Python in their applications. So you know actually that they're using this. As said, you can get quite creative with these. So if you want to discuss and chat about how we could help you in a creative way, feel free to add me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to help you further. There will also be a demo link soon where you can also book a demo with one of my colleagues or myself.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Two other then dynamic triggers, so to speak, of data that you can leverage as an example. One which is a bit more custom, but still works out really nicely, is the newly funded process. So like the possibility of when you know that there's a specific type of news that is shared on a regular basis online, you have the possibility of capturing this, typically with the RSS feed. This is something that is pretty standard when it comes to when you have a website such as Deutsche Startup or another one that publishes regularly some funding that has been raised and announced. Then you can use the RSS feeder and then publishing it to a clay table for further enrichment by finding the founder, of course, and then deriving a messaging that goes around then this news. And another one is the job change. We also mentioned it before. Could be a very powerful one, especially if you're monitoring a lot of accounts over time. And the whole point here is saying, okay, any people that have been a past customer of yours, or even somebody that has been quite advanced in your sales pipeline. So if they're part of a deal that has been closed lost, then you have the possibility of knowing if this person started working in a new company. And of course, this is going to be increasing much more your chances of closing a deal with this new account, because, well, this person already know who you are. You already went through quite far in terms of the sales process, if not entirely, if this person has been a past customer. So this is also a very interesting signal that you can track and leverage over time. Having said all of this, there's the possibility of building it yourself. And that's because we have this special hands-on workshop where we provide you the possibility of building some dynamic data and some triggers yourself, some signals. This is live during this a couple of hour workshop where we have the possibility then of knowing which type of tool to put into place, how to do the fine tuning so that it goes and matches well with your infrastructure and then your activities. And this is something very limited. We'll put again here the QR code at the very end during the QA session so that you know you can check out when it comes to the registration. So just to finish, like some results, having said all of that, when it comes to other types of testimonials that we gathered over time by implementing tools like Clay and Dealfront and others. So we have like this other company that's managed to increase to up to having 25 meetings per month. This was like a startup because, of course, something that we haven't necessarily mentioned is that tools like Leadfeeder could also be implemented, of course, for low traffic. So that means that if you just have a few hundred hundreds per month of traffic. Leadfeeder can also track this. Then we have the ops when it comes to AI lead gen engine overall by leveraging AI. This is also this huge gap when it comes to an increase when it comes to more opportunities created thanks to this lead generation engine. And then another client more on the service side, where even there on the 6 weeks, they managed to generate 1 million of deal pipeline value, which is crazy. I was even surprised myself when they put in this in place, but it's still like kind of an extreme case of what is possible when you implement such type of system. And just to finish, yeah, as you know, or for those who don't know, we have been working for quite some companies along the past 4 years at Peakora of different nature, different industries, whether it is B2B, it could be marketplace, B2C. And the whole point is that with Peakora, you have a disposal by working with us, a full team of tech seniors at your service, meaning some people that own, each of these people have their own expertise in their specific topic that you can leverage by collaborating with us. So it could be Linus, who was previously leading the customer success department at Dropbox, or we have Leonard from Tinder. We have some other people from Beekeeper, etc. So quite a range when it comes to expertise. So what's next? If you're interested in knowing more about how you can further implement such of a general revenue operation system, and then you can apply for a free strategy session. So where we can have either one of my colleagues to tell you what are your gaps when it comes to what you need to still implement, and how you can further drive a game plan, and what would be the next steps when it comes to implementing to better drive your revenue growth. And then, of course, Dealfront, like Stuart mentioned, that you can try for free and even schedule a demo when it comes to understanding how the whole database platform works, and of course, including how to leverage Leadfeeder as this website visitor identification tool. That's about it for today when it comes to this webinar. We have a bit of time when it comes to a Q&A session right now. And in the meantime, you have all the QR codes based on what we presented until now. So yeah, free to just raise your hand or directly present yourself and ask your question in regards to the topic we covered.
I thought what would be interesting, maybe there are some people here in the audience that are already using some dynamic triggers or static triggers, or have set up some clay tables themselves and want to share a bit what they have been doing so far.
I mean, I can share some info if you want. Raphael here.
Of course.
Hi, Raphael.
Hi.
Hey, Raphael, go ahead.
Hi. So, we in the last 3-4 months we pushed out the first two campaigns together with Lucas. Some hand-on experience with him, and we had quite great experience of really the leads we were generating there, and it was not only that you create the leads, but we really were able also to close a couple of them and generated quite some revenue from these leads. And for me, it's cool to have this first effect, but especially it's cool to have this as a tool, accompanied by like events and all other things you do in your go-to-market notion. So yeah, Lucas and his team is doing a great job, and we are very happy.
Right.
Really cool. What was the kind of campaign you were running? Were you running different ones, or what?
You mean ICP or
yeah,
or
ICP,
the strategy, conversion strategy?
This whole strategy, like, was it based on a static trigger campaign, or did you use some dynamic ones?
No, so far it was just static. We had some ICP defined, like we're in the construction industry. Defined our ICP, scraped the data, and it was not a dynamic trigger, no. to static data.
So you basically first defined your whole target market, defining all the companies that fall into your ICP, and then you set up a company targeting, a campaign targeting them. Nice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, what we see is that, I mean, scraping and clay enrichment, I mean, that also takes quite some time. I mean, that's just an insight we learned now. It's not that you do that in 1-2 days or so for a campaign. So that takes time, but it's a nice and scalable methodology, which is cool.
Yeah, the initial setup definitely takes some time, but once you have the hang out of it, then you can really scale it. I think that's a really nice part of it. And that's also why it's good to, see how other people do it, or maybe even get some help to set it up the first time. So especially if any one of you guys is interested in that, that's exactly what the workshop will be about, to set up such a clay table together so you can basically run your first campaign without having to struggle and finding out all the prompts yourself. Good. I mean, if there are no other questions, I saw there are some nice comments. So looking forward to hearing back from you guys a bit later. Feel free to reach out, and we'll also share the recording and, of course, the presentation via email as well.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for attending today.
Yep.
Hope that it has helped you, and hopefully speak to you all soon.
Yes. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.